It is 5:45. Good evening. It is 5:45, so I will call to order the July 2nd, 2026 regular meeting of the Hendersonville City Council. We begin our meeting with a silent invocation for people to pray or meditate as they choose, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you will rise, please. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Council, you have before you the agenda. Is there anything you would like to have added to or removed from this evening's agenda?
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries, and we have our agenda for this evening. We begin with public comment. This evening, we have two people who have signed up for speaking. If you would limit it to 4 to 5 minutes at the most, we would appreciate it. And what I'll do is I'll call your name. If you will come to the microphone, give your name and your address for the clerk's record. All right, first, Doyle Brown.
Good evening. How's everyone doing today? My name is Doyle Brown, and I live at 119 Brookwood Drive in Spindale, North Carolina, in Rutherford County. I'm pleased to be here today. Good evening, and happy early 4th of July to everyone. It's a great time for us to celebrate our nation and be in harmony. I'm here today to present to you some information about a real estate project that I'm working on here in the county. And me and my investment group intend to redevelop the Cascades Resort Hotel. We want to bring that property online so that we can address or help address the workforce and affordability housing crisis that's going on all across Western North Carolina. We intend to bring on 135 units where our employer groups here in the county and the citizens and residents in this area will be able to access these units, these affordable units that will be, when I say beneath market rate, bankers don't like to hear that. They say, well, how are you going to make the payment? Well, I say, well, you know what? Our first and primary job is to supply the units to the public so that we can help our employers, we can help our traveling employees, we can help all our resident employee groups here in the community, and we can bring online units that actually address affordability. People want to live in dignity, people want to work in dignity, and this proposed redevelopment will not only bring on approximately 135 units, we plan to include utilities, high-speed internet, pool, fitness center, business center, and professional on-site management. We intend to put in an elevator in the second building, and this will provide predictable monthly housing costs where, our residents would be able to live in harmony, benefit from all the amenities on site, and then also they're going to have beneath market rents. People will be able to save money, prepare for other life experiences they're going through. We think it's a really great idea. We plan to bring on so many workforce units and then so many attainable units where we will work with the local non-for-profits in the community so that they can help house um, some of their clients, some of the people who are in desperate need, urgent need of affordable housing. So I wanted to come here today to let you know what my intentions are. I've spoken to some of you already about what our intentions are. It's a noble project. We're looking to address the need and really give back to the community. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yes, that is a need, and wish you the very best and hope things will work out for you. Yeah. Nancy Diaz.
Good evening, City Council. I'm Nancy Diaz, and I live and work in downtown Hendersonville. This evening, you'll review the language access plan that I've had the privilege to witness your staff and community partners work on for many months with deep intention. Helene came with numerous life lessons. One that was very obvious for me was the lack of language justice preparedness from our local governments around emergency disaster communication. I'm very thankful for your staff who accepted the invitation to participate in a program to develop language access processes, especially during emergencies and disasters. I also thank you, Council, for your investment through staff time and taking this step towards language justice. I especially want to highlight Allison and Brandy for their grace and deep commitment to language justice. It has been very rewarding to work alongside them in the development of this plan. Please continue to support them and the goals of the plan so that members of our community for which English is not their primary language may receive life-saving and valuable city communications in a language they are most familiar with. So tonight I urge you to adopt this plan so that we can continue on with this great progress. And yeah, thank you for all you do. That's all.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Okay, no one else has signed up here. Is anyone online seeking recognition to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Then we will go on to consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to have moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda so it can be discussed? Not a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that City Council approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries, and we took care of a lot of business all in one motion. Okay, we have some presentations. First one, special presentation, the Henderson County League of Women Voters. And who is our spokesperson here?
Good evening, City Council. Representatives from the League of Women Voters are here tonight, and I'll bet you Mayor Volk might be able to guess why. We wanted to honor our newest life member, Barbara Volk. She joined the League of Women Voters of Henderson County in 1976, 50 years ago. She has said that when she was a newcomer in town, she was told if she wanted to know what was going on, she should join the League. And boy, did she join the League. She was our president from 1983 to 85, and she was actually an observer of the Henderson City Council for several years. We have something that we call the Observer Corps. I'm sure you know, there's always somebody sitting back there listening and watching local government meetings. Mayor Volk was inspired, she has said, to run for city council in 1989, was elected mayor in 2009, the first woman to hold both of those roles, and she's held that role ever since. So we're here tonight to present her with her Life Member Certificate, thank her for her leadership and for always being willing to help the League, even with her busy schedule. So thank you, Barbara.
Well, thank you. I was not expecting this.
50 years is nothing to sneeze at. So this is your, and we like a she's saying, everyone.
Close the cameras if y'all want to jump in.
Go, girl.
Come a couple of people on this side. Let's even it up a little bit. Yeah. Perfect. Oh, great. All right. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
That was a surprise. Thank you. I did know it was 50 years, but I didn't expect that.
You've got me
Um,
beat.
Right. Next, we have a presentation, Historic Preservation Commission, Hyman Heights, tree planting. And Jim Welcher, there, oh, right there. All right.
Mayor and council, thank you for taking the time to listen to us. I'd like to thank our members of the HPC that are here with me and some of the residents in Hyman Heights. And very specifically talk a little bit about the surprise that we got June 10th in Hyman Heights. But reminding folks, first of all, the Historic Preservation Commission goals, because 2 of these are going to become very poignant when I show some slides. And it's really to safeguard the city's heritage and preserve the property and architectural history. And also to identify properties that are of historical significance and possess integrity, design, setting, workmanship, materials, feeling, and associations to designate such as historic landmarks and districts, and to promote the use and conservation of such landmarks in our districts for the education, pleasure, and enrichment of the residents of the city. I'm going to give you a couple of very specific examples that fly counter to that in the tail end of this presentation, but also we are very proud to be a tree city in Hendersonville with an active tree board of which we've contacted, for our support to let them know what's going on. And quite honestly, there's I'm not going to read the whole list of requirements here to be a tree city, but to give you an example now of some of the things that were going on, this is the entrance to Hyman Heights after Duke Power came through. And I would hazard to guess that, John and I and everybody drive by that virtually every day. That doesn't present a very pleasing approach to any residential neighborhood, much less the residents or the people looking down potential to live there. The next couple slides show a couple of things. These are 2 magnolia trees that I don't think I can zoom in on these, Randy. But the 2 magnolia trees, one of them there on the right was actually on a corner, and it was a beautiful full magnolia. And this one on my left, I guess that would be your right, was actually an example of how they've trimmed many trees in the neighborhood and just outside the neighborhood, because the historic district runs along part of Oakland, but not all of it. And one of the things, this is the magnolia that I wanted to very specifically point out that was pruned from 2 sides, and it was actually very, very big. The frustration is that I know Duke Power legally has power to trim the trees to protect their lines. From the historic preservation point of view, they've done a very good job of that, but every one of these trees that they've butchered, the sides of the trees that are closest to the road, presents a hazard for every historic house that those are next to. When you think if we get a late fall or early spring snowfall, or heaven hopefully it doesn't happen again. We get a storm that puts 30 inches of rainfall in the ground and makes these trees vulnerable to falling over in the winds. They're going to hit a historic structure. That's one of the Earl Stillwell houses in Hyman Heights that you see there. So when we reviewed this at the Historic Preservation Commission, we did go out and talked about working with the tree board and other commissions. One of the city staff did meet with Duke Power's community affairs people in the street in Hyman Heights. And we've come up with sort of a list of suggestions that we would like staff to continue to work with. I think, quite honestly, the city staff has been responsive with both Daniel, Sam, and Matt. A little frustrating because there's not a lot that legally that we can do other than try and coerce Duke Power to do the right thing. We do have information from Sam that other communities outside of our district with Duke Power is actually Transylvania, Henderson, and Polk County. The people up in Asheville, their Historic Preservation Commission says that they have actually had positive results working with Duke Power in advance of tree trimming. So some of the suggestions that we would like to see considered as we move forward with staff and hopefully your support is that instead of allowing Duke Power to, well, it wasn't Duke Power, it was Ansbach that actually showed up with a caravan of trucks at 8:30 one morning with no warning. We would like Duke and Ansbach to give people a 30-day notice before they're going to do things. We know they can do this because Duke Power texts us, text customers right now when they're going to interrupt their power at a certain time a week or so in advance. They would like to see the Duke engineer and arborist right along with the city representative and agree on the tree pruning plans to make it as minimal intrusive as we could. And personally, we believe that if they cut anything over 6 inches, which you saw or should have seen, there were significant amounts of that, they should get a COA like we require the city residents to do if we trim or cut down anything over 6 inches in diameter. Have Duke consider burying the lines in the front of the houses. Consider having Duke and Ansbach compensate homeowners if any of these trees dies, which is a good chance some of them will. So we would also like to have input as to how fast Duke trims. Personally, going out and talking to the different crews, they came around, since I've been there, they came around 4 or 5 years ago and trimmed 6 foot back from the power lines. Depending on who you talk to from the tree company, this time they told us they were trimming 12 to 15 feet back from the power lines and above the power lines. They went a lot further than that in some places, and the rationale was, and I admit, Duke is in there planning all new telephone poles, hopefully to upgrade the power, but I think they didn't have to do that when they had to fix the lines when Hurricane Helene came through. So we would actually support any ongoing effort by the community development and planning departments to find a solution to this. So having said that, I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, or we would be very happy to answer.
Jensen, you want?
I have a comment. I completely agree with you. One of our huge maple trees in our front yard was completely butchered. And so I completely understand maybe setting up some communication with them and seeing what we can accomplish, I think is a great idea.
Just to follow along those lines, to let you know what staff has done to date. Sam Hayes from our Community Development Department has been in contact with Duke, and there had discussions are ongoing, and they have the ability to possibly come back and make corrective cuts to improve the appearance. Sam's gonna, I'm sure we'll follow up with Sam and the Public Works or Public Services Department. They're looking at a process for COA, Certificate of Appropriateness, prior to beginning annual maintenance. And that Sam's working on that, and Sam will keep us updated, I'm sure, the HPC as well as the City Council. see us further discussion. And in good news, Jim, is I think after the next 4 or 5 months, there will only be one Duke district. They're actually going to merge to 2, so that may help. So
Okay, good.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for pointing this out. Too bad it had to be after the fact.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, next we have the Animal Services Advisory Committee Yearly Update. Angela Broderick, there she is.
Good evening, everyone. I'm usually better off the cuff, but I'm going to try to stick to my notes tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to give you an update on the Animal Services Advisory Committee over the past year. This year has been somewhat different from many years before. After 5 years of very significant progress on the committee, from establishing the committee to rewriting the city ordinances and strengthening our animal service officer position, this year has been a little bit more focused on evaluating what we have actually built and reviewing the effectiveness of our work. And identifying priorities for the future moving forward. So some of the committee highlights over this past year, we've continued to review community animal welfare issues. We've reviewed the city animal ordinance to ensure it remains effective in responses to the current needs of our community, because what the needs were a couple years ago are not currently the needs right now. We've discussed emerging animal welfare trends and opportunities to strengthen education, partnerships, and services. And we've retained and maintained and been prepared to be the Dangerous Dog Appeal Board before the city if one were to be designated. A significant focus of this year has been reviewing the findings of a Henderson County Animal Welfare Survey that was released in the fall. The survey was developed by the Henderson County Animal Services Committee under the leadership of James Lyon as chair, which I also serve as vice chair on that committee for the county. I had the opportunity to work alongside the committee to develop the survey with one goal in mind, and that goal was to better understand the needs, the challenges, and the priorities of animal owners throughout Henderson County and the city of Hendersonville as well. How do we know how we serve our community if we don't actually talk to the pet owners and see what they're facing and see what they want to see from community animals as well? So the survey explored topics like pet ownership, demographics, access to care and affordability, preventative health care needs, household spending on pets, how much people actually think they spend per year on their animals, concerns that are pertinent to them as pet owners, and then concerns that are pertinent to them for the overall animal population in our community, as well as just if they have general awareness of animal welfare resources in our community. The response exceeded expectations. We had over 1,000 individuals complete the survey, including 37% that were identified as City of Hendersonville residents. This gave us more than enough information to have more of a comprehensive look at animal welfare needs in our community. Over the past couple City Animal Advisory Committee meetings, we've reviewed the findings to better understand how we can inform our work moving forward. Some of those significant findings include access to veterinary care and affordability. That remains the greatest challenge that many pet owners are having in our community. Residents identified neglect, abuse, stray, lost animals, overpopulation, and feral cats as concerns for the community population as a whole. People consistently identified affordability, veterinary care, preventative care, vaccines, affordable spay-neuter, affordable microchips, and education as the greatest needs that they see in our community. While concerns about neglect, abuse, and stray animals remain important, the survey suggests that residents really want to know more about the resources that are available to help them with their pets. In a nutshell, our community is asking for less enforcement and more access. So looking forward, the survey has provided valuable insight into where the committee can have greatest impact moving forward now that we have that information. As we continue our work, I believe our priorities should continue and include continuing to review the effectiveness of the city's ordinance and recommending updates where appropriate, identifying opportunities to improve public education around responsible pet ownership and valuable community resources, strengthening partnerships with local animal welfare organizations, not just my own, veterinarians and community stakeholders, and supporting initiatives that improve the access to affordable preventative care that keep healthy pets in loving homes. Using this community feedback and data, we can then determine further recommendations and priorities for the committee moving forward in the years to come. As a personal reflection, I just like to share a little something. This is my 6th and final year serving on the Animal Services Advisory Committee. Under our bylaws, I'm rotating off the committee. It has truly been an honor to serve the community in this capacity. 6 years ago, I had the privilege of working with Lieutenant Leroy, who was with the Hendersonville Police Department at that time, to draft the ordinance that created this committee, and I have served on the committee since. Looking back over those 6 years, I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished. We've established this committee. We completed a comprehensive rewrite of the animal ordinance. And as a side note, anecdote, I was at an animal welfare conference last year in California, and I went to a session about public policy and how to work with your local government. There's about 100 people in the room, and people were raising hands talking about what they did. And someone was like, has anyone been able to sit at a table with the people in your government and talk to them about the laws and work with them to change it? And I raised my hand and I stood up and I told the story of rewriting the animal ordinance. Whoops, sorry, I talk with my hands a lot, for the city of Hendersonville. And people were floored and they gave a round of applause. So I just want to know that you all to know that that's a very special thing that you allowed us to do on that committee. Where was I? And we welcome the city's first animal enforcement officer, which has been huge in creating that access to care rather than just enforcement measurements. We've built stronger relationships and we've expanded our outreach, connecting residents with programs and resources available to help keep healthy pets in their homes. This year has been about creating new systems. It has not been about creating new systems, but ensuring what we've built remains strong. We've laid a really nice foundation over the past few years, and I think it's a really good spot to keep building from there onward. And finally, I want to thank Chief Myhand. He listened to me when I told him that no one would listen to me about animals in our community. And he looked me in the eye and sat across from me and said, talk to me, which I appreciate. And Melissa Justice, who's been extraordinary to help us out on the committee. And I want to thank you all for your willingness to have this committee and your support and your backing. It shows that you value animal welfare issues in our community, and I hope that you continue to do so moving forward. That's all I have. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions, comments? Appreciate your 6 years of service. Thank you. Right, Clear Creek Greenway Project update. Mr. Shanahan.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and members of City Council. I'm Brendan Shanahan, your city engineer, and I'm pleased to be here to update you all on what I think is a great project. And here in the transition as this project moves from paper to pavement. And so just as background, Clear Creek Greenway project was designed to connect communities eastward of the city's greenway system, eastward of the I-26 corridor. It's about almost 2 miles of a project, and it traverses physical barriers such as Mud Creek and Allen Branch, in addition to Interstate 26. It'll provide access on one side with the post office and Highland Square Drive, on the other side to downtown and several of our parks, and be centrally located for over 1,000 residences. As you are all well aware, there's a lot of development in that area, a lot of new residences coming who will be very close to this project. So it's exciting for them. This is just kind of a visual representation. Sorry. Okay. So this on this side here is where it connects to our existing greenway system, Akawaha Greenway, which comes up there along Mud Creek, and it'll pass by our wastewater treatment plant. And that little green section there, it's hard to distinguish the green from the blue, but that's crossing over Mud Creek, across the Clear Creek Park here and Clear Creek Road, past Carolina Village, under I-26, across Allen Branch, and on over to the annex, Postal Service Annex Building and Sam's Club and the Highland Square area there. Just to have an overview of that. Oh, I'm sorry. And then in terms of the new, all the new, you could see all the new residential development that's really close to that section. Let me see. Okay, so overall cost for the project. This project for engineering and design and permitting, about 800,000, and for construction and administration, about 4.5 million. And so right now we're entering the construction phase of the project. You may have seen some activity on the wastewater treatment end of the project. They've begun grading there. And let's see, so I have a slide a little bit later in the presentation to talk more about funding sources, and I'm happy that we have some guests with us to that we can talk about a little bit later. But back on the construction piece, NHM, and I think Adam Rice from NHM was he was going to join us this evening, but had a bit of a conflict with his schedule. But NHM Constructors was awarded the project in May, and they're also the contractor that completed the Equista Trail project and gained a lot of experience through that. Adam Rice himself was the project manager for that project, and because a lot of us are familiar with that project, I thought it might be helpful to do a bit of comparison with the scope of the project. A lot of similarities, the bridges and the construction materials. Some of the differences are it's a bit of a shorter project, and also the width of the greenway itself would be more similar to our other sections of greenway, the 10-foot wide asphalt path as opposed to the 14-foot for the Equista Trail. And so some of the things that I guess lessons learned and looking forward on what we can expect for this project, or hopefully lessons we can try to meet our goals, is considerations of securing materials in advance and anticipating our timeline. So we have various grants that are funding this project, and they have different timelines. So that's one of our goals in proceeding. And I think one of the items that Adam had mentioned when I spoke with him is anticipating design changes and trying to get out ahead of those to make sure that we don't negatively impact our schedule. And speaking about bridges, this photo is one of the more recent bridges that we've set as part of, actually this was part of the North Main Street water and sidewalk project where we crossed Mud Creek near the kiosk, which that well-known kiosk is probably somewhere behind the trees over there. And I'm sorry, still getting used to this. So in terms of the time frame to complete the project, we broke it into two pieces, partly because of, as I mentioned, the funding. So the first portion of the project is to be completed in fall of 2026, and that's from, as you were looking at the map from the left side, from the west side of the project where it meets the Aglavada Greenway up to the I-26 corridor, be finished in the fall, and the remainder in the spring of 27. So as I mentioned, the funding has come through various grants. The lion's share of the funding for this project has come from federal funds through the North Carolina Department of Transportation. And I have to acknowledge and thank the Metropolitan, or the MPO board and the TCC for supporting this project throughout and increasing our funding to the very end of the project. And in addition, the NC Parks Park and Recreation Trust Fund has extended our grant to accommodate our schedule, which I really appreciate. And NC Trails is another donor to this project, which we really appreciate. So at the moment, I just wanted to pause the presentation to ask if there's any questions or items to discuss.
Right now?
Okay, great.
Okay.
At this time, I wanted to recognize there's some honored guests with us today who've been supporters of the project, and I wanted to recognize some of them in order. Hopefully, it's okay. I move in a bit of an order here, and so what I would like to do is ask individuals from these organizations. I'll call you up, and we can, if you have anything to say, feel free to use the mic. Otherwise, we can just call you up and be recognized in front of the council. So first, I'd like to call up Katie Breckheim, Friends of the Yakalaha Greenway. Thank you so much for coming.
Good evening. My name's Katie Breckheimer, and I'm the chair of the Friends of the Ocklawaha Greenway. I'm pleased to convey our donation to the building of the new Clear Creek Greenway. My friends group consists of members of Conserving Carolina, the League of Women Voters, and the community at large. We started 16 years ago, dedicated to the many values offered by Greenway trails, such as improved health, recreation, off-road transportation, connectivity, preserved open space, natural habitat for wildlife, and economic opportunity. We promote the use of the existing Ocklawaha Greenway and work to extend it beyond the city of Hendersonville and into the county. Our dream is for our county to become a Greenway's crossroads, and the new Clear Creek Greenway is part of that dream come true. This new greenway will connect to the existing Ocklawaha Greenway in the Berkeley Park area. Some of our group has already walked the proposed route with Brendan, looking for places to place signs in order to extend our birding trail. The Ocklawaha Birding Trail is an enhancement project which opened in April of 2024. The project was a collaborative effort led by the Friends that included funds from the Community Foundation, the design team at Vacker Signs, the City of Hendersonville, Henderson County, Blue Ridge Audubon Society, and Mountain True. The series of colorful interpretive signs about birds will be extended thanks to this new greenway, one that will protect and preserve an incredible flyway for migrating birds. Birders from all over the world come here to our area to spot the numerous birds along the greenway. Thank you for believing in the dream and for helping us make it happen. Thank you.
Katie will be presenting check to the council.
How do you want to work that one? Good idea.
Then
You hold the checks.
so see if I can get back to my. Oh, that's okay. So the next guest I'd like to call up is Laura Rice from Friends of Trail.
All right, good evening, everyone. The City of Hendersonville has been a valued partner for the Acoustic Trail back from the initial vision of a trail in our community, and has been a big partner in making things happen when they really needed to happen. Without the city, the Acoustic Trail really would not be here, so it's our honor to be able to support continuation of trail development in our community in any way that we can. Thank you.
And next we have Joe.
I'm Joe Sanders with the Blue Ridge Bicycle Club, and I really don't think I can add much to what Katie and Laura have already offered, other than to say that we're really proud to contribute to this and see the synergy that's developed, especially with the Acoustic Trail and the number of people using it. Peggy and I ride the Acoustic Trail almost every day, and we couldn't be more pleased with the diversity of people that are using it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Kevin Parrish from Carolina Village. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, Kevin Paris from Carolina Village. We're just very excited to be part of this process of the extension of the Greenway. We're honored to be adjacent to it and have it as part of our community, but also extension to the Hendersonville city as well as to the county. And we're looking forward to the larger plan with the greenways in the future. So we look forward to supporting that even more at that point. So, but thank you very much.
And we have the council up for some photos with our guests.
So I see
Each one individually. So we'll do. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you so much for.
City can't do what it does without the partnership with all of our nonprofits and other organizations in the city. So thank you for your help with this particular project. All right. Well, fun is done. Now we have to get to the business. Public hearing, annexation, public hearing, Ironwood Square.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I actually am stepping in for Sam because I think this is so much fun that I just couldn't help myself. So we do have an annexation this evening. We have a petitioner with Watermark Drake, an employee there, submitted the application on behalf of Conserving Carolina and the Children and Family Resource Center, which are co-owners of the properties in question. It's 3 parcels. It is a satellite annexation. It's 800 feet from the corporate limits and 1550 feet from the limits of the village of Flat Rock. The total acreage is 0.87 acres. And so straightforward, you have a motion in front of you. I believe it's been reprinted, and you should have updated language that just references the organization names in the motion for approval, also a motion for denial, and we've got the annexation plat shown here as well. Any questions?
Any questions? No? Okay, thank you. Does the applicant want to say anything? Any of the folks?
I'm Hunter Marks with Watermark Landscape Architecture. Thanks very much for allowing us to be here. Really don't have anything to say, but happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, has this public hearing been advertised in accordance with general statutes?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it has.
Okay, we will open the public hearing. Nobody here has signed up. Is anyone online seeking recognition to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, last call. Anyone wishing to speak? No, we'll close that public hearing. Council, discussion, motion?
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council adopt an ordinance of the City of Hendersonville to annex non-contiguous property owned by Conserving Carolina and the Children and Family Resource Centers of Henderson County, Inc., identified as pins 9577-79-4384, 9577-79-3365, and 9577-79-2337, finding that the standards established by the North Carolina General Statute 160A-58 have been satisfied and that the annexation is the best interest of the city.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of this annexation say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries, and that has been taken care of. Thank you. Right. We have another public hearing. This is a consideration of a certificate of public convenience and necessity for I&M Airport Taxi LLC. Who is?
I'll take it, I think.
Present that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor Volt, members of City Council, this is something that doesn't occur very often, but we have an application to start a new taxi service in the city of Hendersonville, and your applicant is here. He's standing right there, so he can answer any questions if you have any. But Mr. Suhan is here. He currently is a cab driver here in town and recognizes a need for us to have an additional cab service that services after 6 p.m. into the evening. Our current, as I understand it, our current taxi service ceases to operate at 6 p.m. and Mr. Suhan feels there is a need in our community to do that. And so in order to start a new taxi service, by our code of ordinance, we have to have a public hearing and determine that there's a resolution establishing the public convenience and necessity is there. And so we have that. You have a resolution tonight granting that certificate, and then there'll be a good bit of work on the back side, on the back end for us to work with Mr. Suhan to establish this new taxi service. So we'll have the public hearing, Mayor Volk, and then ask council if you determine that there is a sufficient need to do this, then you can adopt a resolution.
Okay. Would you like to say anything? If you would come to the microphone, please, Mr. Suhan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eli. I am from Moldova, between Romania and Ukraine. And my job was over there, driver bus. Here I work 9 years Uber drivers and now 6 months checker cab driver. And I enjoy serve people. And I stay many times now work in the night and I see people need from hospital, from many places. And I want to be close to my family. I have 4 children, 3 children, number 4 in the way. And I don't want to go truck driver, no come 3 to 4 weeks home. I know I worked before 5 years, delivery parts for cars, all states, and it's not easy. And I want to be close to the family and work here in this community. That's it.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. Madam Clerk, has this public hearing been advertised in accordance with general statutes?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it has.
We'll open the public hearing. No one here has signed up to speak. Is anyone online seeking recognition to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Anyone? All right, then we'll close that public hearing. Council?
I just want to say this is a much needed thing here. You can't get Ubers or Lyfts in Hendersonville, and there are a lot of before hours and after hours for transportation needs for folks in the community. So thank you for coming to us.
Anything else? For a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that City Council adopt a resolution granting a certificate of public convenience and necessity for I&M Airport Taxi LLC.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries, and that certificate has been granted.
Good luck.
Yes. Right. We have one final public hearing to consider amendment to three-party agreement, interlocal agreement, and restrictive covenants related to Garrison Industrial Park.
Good evening.
Speaker.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm coming to you all with a lot of economic development public hearings lately, which is a great thing. Tonight, I bring before you some proposed amendments to the documents that facilitated the formation of Garrison Industrial Park and the economic development that has brought to the community. And a little bit of history. One of my first things I did was present this to you all when I came. So this is the same presentation, just modified, but I thought it would be good to reflect on the park for a minute too. But so in order to make that happen, there were 3 agreements: an interlocal agreement between the city and the county, a 3-party agreement between the city and the county and the Economic Investment Fund, and then the third topic is a modification to the restrictive covenants that govern the development within that park. So just let's take a look back at the park. This is the original slide. It's out on Upward Road next to Appland Business Park. It's about 41 acres. It was developed by the Economic Investment Fund. They actually purchased the property. And you can see there were potentially 3 industrial sites. And at the time they purchased it, they did have an industrial client who at the time was known only as Project Wheel. And so it took a lot of work with the fund and the city and the county to meet and come together and determine how best to do this to meet the needs of Project Wheel. And so this is the plat, and you can see in red the acreage that is currently a part of Garrison Industrial Park. And there were 3 potential industrial sites. And as you can see, there was lot number 2 was not actually made a part of the park. That remained in ownership by members of the Garrison family. So what did the deal look like? So the city and the county each loaned to the fund money that netted out to $470,000 around there, and I'll give you the exact numbers on another slide. But they used the money, they were supposed to use the money from the sale of the property to pay back the loan, and the city and the county actually held and hold a mortgage on the property, and that they would market 2 remaining parcels to other industrial prospects to provide additional tax base and jobs for city residents. And if you'll recall, this is the first major economic development project that I think the city had done. And then the Economic Investment Fund manages the property, and they impose restrictive covenants And then we also extended water and sewer to benefit the entire park. And so there were two complementary agreements. The interlocal agreement is where the city and the county agreed, hey, we'll get together and we will each loan, I left out a three, at $1.7 million each to the fund to buy the property. The sale of Lot 3 to Project Will, which we now know is Jabil, proceeds were applied, and so the net principal loan balance owed to each, the city and the county, is $460,483.78. And it's a 10-year lump sum. You know, they don't have to make payments on it. They pay it off as they sell the property. And if they sell the property to a client that satisfies 80%, the 80% threshold in our policy, then they don't have to pay interest. So the interest is waived if it's a really good industrial client. And so that was the agreement between the city and the county, which we, worked really well together to make that happen. And then we had to enter into an agreement also with the fund that basically said the same things and put the responsibility on the fund to carry out the wishes of the city and the county to develop the park and sell it. So Project Wheel Jabil was the original occupant of the park. This is what they presented when they came in, $38 million investment, which at the time we thought was like, great, huge, 150 jobs, and look at the wages, $39,867. Now this is in 2020, y'all, in 2020, okay? And to satisfy, they had to pay wages that were at or above the median average wage. So that was above the median average wage, okay? Then now we have Project Crown, which just got announced, that is the Jabil expansion, okay? Their projected investment is $102 million, projected employment 148 new jobs, and the wages are $62,776. So that's how much the median average wage has risen in 6 years. But when you total it up, the projected investment between those two is $140 million. The actual investment for Project Wheel was about $3 million more as of the end of 2024, but they also brought Eli Lilly along with them, who made another $88 million investment that the city didn't have to pay incentives for. And then, so it created 298 new jobs. And at the end of 2024, the actual jobs for Project Will are 206. So they're way far exceeding what they have told us that they would do. So with Project Crown and the expansion, we have to make some amendments because guess what? That Lot 2 now needs to be added to the park. And so the requested amendments are to, so remember I said that if they sell, and it's the capital IF, if they sell to an industry meeting the 80% threshold, the interest would be waived. Well, the fund has come forward and said, we want to go ahead and pay off our loan. We want to go ahead and pay off that $460,000. And so what we said was, well, then, and they asked that the interest be waived. And we said, well, then we need you to go ahead and commit. And it's not an if, but it's a shall be sold now to an 80% industry in exchange for waiving the interest. So we're going to end up at the exact same place. We're just doing it now so they can pay it off now as opposed to when we get an industry coming in. And then the other amendments are to allow Lot 2 to be added for Project Crown. And so this is the slide I just showed you showing the original boundary of the park, and you can see Lot 2. This is Lot 2, and this is how it's going to be split. And the piece with the yellow mark is going to go to the fund and for access, and the part with the green is going to go to Jabil for parking. And so this is what the new boundaries will look like. And so because we are waiving the interest up front and making amendments to an economic development project, we are using belts and suspenders and playing it safe by holding a public hearing under the economic development statute to do that. Are there any questions about that?
Question? No? Okay. Thank you. Right. Madam Clerk, has this public hearing been advertised in accordance with general statutes?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it has.
Then we will open this public hearing. Again, no one present has signed up to speak. Is anyone online seeking recognition to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, last call, anyone? We will close the public hearing. Council, discussion, comments, motion?
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council adopt a resolution to approve amendments to the third-party agreement, interlocal agreement, and restrictive covenants related to Garrison Industrial Park as presented.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not? Those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, and those amendments have been made. Thank you. Right, new business, the language access plan. And who's doing justice? Okay.
Hello, Madam Mayor and City Council. I'm Allison Justice, your Communications Director. And this evening I am joined by Melissa Escobar, who is True Ridge's Executive Director. And tonight we are presenting the City of Hendersonville's Language Access Plan. This plan's purpose is to ensure that all of our residents, visitors, and customers can meaningfully access our services regardless of the language that they speak. Language access is about making sure people can understand and use city services when they need them most. This includes paying bills, applying for services or permits, expressing concerns, participating in meetings, and receiving emergency information.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and City Council, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this project. It's meant a lot to me to collaborate on something that will make a difference for our community. During Helene, we saw firsthand what happens when people don't have information in their own language. Families came to True Ridge because they couldn't understand alerts, they didn't know where distribution sites were, or they missed emergency alerts entirely because everything went out in English only. Mariana, a client of ours, says, "We're relying on our kids to translate road closures and shelter information. We had to leave our home and didn't know where to go." And like Mariana, there were a lot of clients like that in these situations. We at True Ridge translated in real time as much information as we could during the storm to all members of our community.
The City Council values that have guided the development of this plan are that we value all community members.
The City of Hendersonville values open, transparent communication and trust with the community.
And the City of Hendersonville values our employees and equips them to be able to best serve our residents. This plan is also in alignment with our Title VI plan, as well as our non-discrimination activities. Our plan was developed through a free program entitled Language Access and for Emergencies and Disasters through the Building Integrated Communities course at the UNC Chapel Hill. The process identified language access needs beyond those experienced in emergencies, so our plan has a wider scope that can be used both during blue sky days as well as during our states of emergency.
Over the past 6 months, city staff worked with UNC staff and students, nonprofit partners, True Regional Centro, Henderson County, the City of Marion, and community stakeholders. The result is Hendersonville's first language access plan.
So we're going to go over a little bit of data before we get into the plan. The census and the American Community Survey data compiled by the Chapel Hill students who are working with us show that almost 7% of Hendersonville residents speak a language other than English at home. This is around 1,009 residents. 427 people, or around 3% of city residents, are categorized as limited English proficient. LEP is a self-reported metric, and it refers to people who speak English less than very well.
The census data gives us an important baseline, but it doesn't tell the whole story. Hendersonville serves people beyond the city limits through the water utility. As the commercial center, we know the city is serving more LEP residents than the census data shows. True Reach and other nonprofits have also identified indigenous languages that are not reflected in the census categories.
Even our own Henderson County Public School data reiterates this. Students who attend Bruce Drysdale and Hendersonville elementary, middle, and high schools, 19% of those students come from multilingual households. And there's even more across the county. Around 25% of students come from those households. Henderson County Public Schools tells us that more than half of students coming from multilingual households need support to access English instruction.
These does not create an exception for serving all language other than English community members. However, Spanish will be prioritized with respect to the city finite resources.
Our plan also explores the needs for expanded resources for serving our deaf and hard of hearing populations as well. So a staff survey was completed as part of this program. It did identify that many of our staff members encounter multilingualistic needs throughout their services. But one thing that we recognized is that we don't have standardized procedures across all of our departments. So some staff are using a mix of tools like our language line phone call system, as well as utilizing bilingual employees or Google Translate. One of the deficiencies we found is some departments rely on utilizing family members for interpretation, which is not a best practice. So this plan is going to help us bring consistency, training, resources, and accountability to serving our residents. And some of the main things we'll be focusing on are public notice of free translation services, improving access to interpretation, translating our vital documents, training our staff, and evaluating our progress over time with the plan. Sorry, next.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, okay.
After adoption, our first big step will be to assemble an internal team that can help manage the plan. This language access team will also be key in coordinating with our stakeholders. In the first year, our main focus will be policy development, staff training, deploying the interpretation resources to all of our departments, and identifying those vital documents for translation.
The city has already been working on implementing some of these strategies, and some items are already underway or completed. These include updating the city's contract with Language Line for live interpretation services, updating the city's website for improved accessibility, converting static newsletters into formats that are accessible and include options for translation, and continuing to offer interpretation services at public input meetings through a partnership with True Reach.
So the language access plan is a 5-year plan, but our implementation plan that we're working on has the flexibility to adjust based on staff resources and budgetary resources. We're also going to continue to work with Henderson County, especially with regards to emergency management and planning activities. And the county is currently working on their own countywide language access plan as well. One of the main things we learned from local governments across the state during the 6-month process was that improving language access is a continuous process, and it really takes investment and collaboration from you as our elected officials, as well as our staff and our community partners.
We think this plan gives a solid foundation that the city and the community can continue to build upon.
And wrapping up, the plan was developed through a lot of collaboration. I want to thank our city staff members who've been working the past 6 months on the plan. And the program we went through with the Building Integrated Communities program in Chapel Hill was absolutely fantastic. We want to give shout outs to the program leaders, Hannah Gill and Brianna Gilmore. And we were also assigned 2 Chapel Hill students who helped us build our plan. You can see some of their photos up there. So we want to thank Paula Lopez Cervantes and Jane Lawrence. We've also collaborated with Henderson County, and Nancy Diaz with El Centro has been critical in helping us get this plan going and also organizing stakeholders to help review our plan. And then last but not least, I definitely want to thank Melissa Escobar. She was our community liaison for our city plan. And Melissa, thank you so much.
Welcome. It has been a pleasure. I'm a language nerd, so I have loved working and doing this job because I love languages. And so I am excited about this plan, and I think this city can move. I would love to see the city to move this forward. But I also want to thank the effort of Allison and Brandy because it's been 6 months of a lot of work. I have been with Allison in her office, and she has all these sticky notes with all these different ideas. So it's been such a pleasure and an honor to work with them. And thank you for listening. Thank you for the work you do. And I thank you, Allison.
Thank you. We're here to answer any questions you may have.
Right. Any questions? Comments?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question for Ms. Justice and Ms. Escobar. I know in your language spoken in table 2 and 3, under other than unspecified language, what if we have some Africans that come here? Will we be able to adjust to that language?
Absolutely. One thing that the city already has in place that we need to deploy further is a contract with Language Line. And so if someone walks up to our customer service window, per se, we will be able to have them point out their language, and there's more than 100 languages represented. So we'll be able to use phone call services. They also have some video capabilities. If it were to be ASL that we were needing, we can also use a tablet and do those kind of interpretations. They also have an app, so our folks in the field will get trained on how to use that. So even though Spanish, like we said, is going to be prioritized in terms of some of the things that are physically translated that we hand out, if we did come across someone speaking another language, we'd be able to identify that, and potentially there'd only be a short delay, just long enough to connect with the interpreters.
Thank you, and I commend both of you and the entire group for what you have done on this. So you satisfied my question.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Just want to thank y'all for this effort. It is profoundly meaningful. So thank y'all for what you're doing. It's extremely important. I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for getting us to this point, and look forward to continuing on and implementing the plan. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Council, any discussion?
Madam Mayor, I move that City Council adopt the language access plan as presented.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not, those in favor of adopting the plan, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries, and we've got it. Thank you.
We're still having fun.
Yeah, this has been fun. Yeah. All right, we have an annexation request on Georgia Avenue. Manley, come back up.
So this one is slightly different than the one that was brought to you before, which was a public hearing. This is just a presentation seeking direction. This is also a satellite annexation for a parcel that is in the city's ETJ, but is outside of the city's growth boundary, or proposed growth boundary. It's a petition from Greg Grooms of Blue Pinnacle Homes. The parcel is 0.14 acres, located on Georgia Avenue near Osceola Lake, as you can see. And as I mentioned, it is in the city's ETJ, but it's outside of the city's newly proposed growth boundary, which is the red line. ETJ line is the blue line shown. The parcel is also part of a larger subdivision right there by the lake, the remainder of which is not included in the annexation request. And because it's a satellite annexation, that makes it ineligible for annexation. Satellite annexations, the entire subdivision would have to be included. The petitioner seeks to connect to city utilities, however, which are available in this location. Is the city's policy that a party must petition for annexation in order to be eligible to connect to the sewer utility. This requirement has been satisfied from staff's opinion, and city council may allow for connection to the city's water and sewer system without requiring further annexation. So staff is just looking for direction to that effect. And I've got a motion and a denial. And an annexation plat. Do you have any questions?
Questions, anyone? No? All right, and this does not need a public hearing, so council discussion or a motion?
Madam Mayor, I direct staff to grant the applicant the right to connect to the City of Hendersonville utility system without requiring further processing of the petition for annexation.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not? Those in favor of the right to connect without annexation, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, and staff can go ahead and continue the process with that one. Thank you. Right, city manager report.
Mayor, vote members of City Council, just a couple of things coming up. We will be having City Splash Day, tentatively scheduled for Saturday, August the 8th from 10 to 11. We're planning to do that at Sullivan Park. More details coming next week, but we're in the process of planning that. So Saturday, August the 8th, City Splash Day. Also, I'm not going to put Brent on the spot, but it looks like a fountain is coming together on Main Street.
It's working.
So,
yeah.
So we met, I don't want to jinx us. It's not quite July 4th, but I think we're there. So we have a fountain, just as promised. That's done. Also, they are going to.
Okay, well, it was spouting when I went by today.
Yes, so they were out there. And trusty Ross Henderson was right there with them, learning how to do it. So you included in your agenda package is the contingency and adjustment report for your information there. We're set up for the 4th of July on Saturday. It's going to be a great parade. I think at least 90 units was the last I heard. I don't know, it seems where we are there. So city staff will be involved there as we head into everybody, encouraging everybody to drink water and try to stay cool for the holidays. It'll be a nice holiday down on Main Street. So we're excited about that. And then just mayor's moments. Something popped through my mind, Katie, that I was looking at you. Oh, it's in here. It's in the mayor's moments. So I want to say this. July 7th, 2011, there was a meeting. Most of the meeting was dedicated, Mayor, you'll remember this, to a quasi-judicial public hearing associated with a special use permit to allow Mainstay, which is now Safe Light, Mainstay, to operate their shelter there on Fifth Avenue. Minutes, because it was quasi-judicial, I think it's like 6, 7, 8 pages of minutes just dedicated to that public hearing for that, allowing Mainstay to occur. Other things, got a grant agreement, a mini grant to do some work, Brent, related to Britton Creek watershed stormwater master plan, probably our first spring bank restoration project back in 2011. We did a project with housing assistance for Oak Haven, Susan. Back at that meeting, several ordinance amendments. I talked about Mainstay, and let me turn over another 10 pages here. A public hearing, just some general corrections to the ordinance, Susan. There, we amended the C1 Central Business District to allow for gasoline sales and convenience stores in the C1 district. It's hard to believe we didn't have that before. you established your Main Street Advisory Committee. Council made a request to the Board of Elections to hold a referendum on malt beer and unfortified wine. So it was the beginning of the end. Also awarded the Stringback Restoration Project that Mr. Detweiler had previously spoken about. Brent talked about having to remove the gazebo on Main Street as part of the infrastructure project. And then this is what when Katie was here, and I wish Joe and Laura had stayed. The council approved providing matching funds to do the economic analysis for the Acoustic Trail at this July meeting, July 11th meeting. So, Mayor's Memories, July 7th, 2011.
A lot of things happened that meeting, it seems. All right. Thank you. Council comments? Anything anyone wants to bring up?
I'm just going to reiterate again that it's supposed to be very hot outside on Saturday. We want everybody to come and enjoy the festivities and the parade, but please drink water, wear appropriate clothing, wear a hat, bring a fan, whatever it is you need to do to make sure that you stay cool, because we want everybody to be safe and have fun while they're out there.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything else? Whoa. All right. Well, in that case, we